Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the exalted one, the worthy one, the supremely enlightened one. Arabata nikamata yunjata buddha sasane dunata majjono senang nalagarang vakunjaro yoimasmin dhamma vinaye අපමත්තෝ විහෙස්සති පහාය ජාති සංසාරං දුක්ඛසන්තං කරිස්සති. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. The most venerable Mahasangha, nuns, friends in the Dhamma, all of you are respectfully welcome to the Bhavana Society. Here we are going to start our annual monastic retreat conducted by the Bhavana Society, as Bhante Saddhaji explained. With the great gratitude to the Bhante Ji, we start this program. Venerable says, here we hope to discuss Buddha's message in short, what the Buddha taught in a nutshell. That is very important. Buddha says very clearly, I proclaim the liberation for those who know the path, who see the path. That is very important. When we practice Dhamma, at the very beginning, we should have clear understanding what we practice, where we are going to. When we see the Buddha's message, in short, according to Dhammapada says, Sabba Papa Sakaranam, so on, not to do any evil, practicing good deeds, purifying one's mind. This is the message of the old Buddhas who appeared in this world. In short, what the Buddha explained is purifying one's mind. Why do we need to purify our mind? Buddha explained the path of happiness, spiritual happiness. We do everything in the name of happiness. If we are not happy, everything that we are is useless. We usually think that our happiness depends on our education, our money, our properties, our beauty. Actually, when we see the reality, our happiness completely depends on purification of our mind. Here, we should understand the negativities, unwholesome mental states that disturb our peace of mind. According to what the Blessed One explained, there are 3 unwholesome mental states that disturb our peace of mind: craving, anger, and illusion. According to Buddha's words, Sajita Paryodakanam, all the doctrines that the Blessed One explained for 45 years, focusing on purifying our mind from these negative thoughts, craving, anger, and illusion. Buddha says, suffering completely comes to the person who is unwise and unmindful. Suffering never comes to the person who is wise and mindful. The more we are ignorant, the more suffering comes to our life. The more we reduce ignorance from our mind, the less suffering comes to our life. Buddha says, from the beginning to end, on the path of liberation, we should maintain 4 qualities in order to develop our wisdom or Panya. According to Panya Uddhi Sutta, Buddha says there are 4 things that help us to develop our wisdom or Panya. What they are? The very first one is Kalyana Mitra Asal, associating with the good friends. The second one, listening to Dhamma, wise reflection and practice. These 4 things help us to develop our wisdom. Therefore, from the beginning to end, on the path of liberation, we have to develop and associate with these 4 things from the beginning to end. That is very important. On the other side, Buddha says, Naham Bhikkave Adhikeneva Anyaradana Vadami. O monks, I don't proclaim the wisdom at the very beginning on the path of liberation. Anupubba Sikha, Anupubba Kiriya, Anupubba Patipada. It has a gradual path. Gradually, Buddha explains the way how we develop our mind. It is like the ocean. The ocean deepens gradually from the beach to the deeper water. Buddha's message also like that. It goes to the deeper level by step to step. That is very important. When Buddha met her audience, Buddha followed this gradual path. He has an order in his speech. Buddha says, very firstly, he explained the Anupubbi Katha, the gradual speech, or Dana Katha, Sila Katha, Sangha Katha, so on. He spoke on generosity, spoke on virtue, spoke on heaven, so on. He followed a gradual path. Step by step, he goes to the deeper level. And also, when we refer some discourses such as Vyagapaja Sutta, according to Vyagapaja Sutta, Buddha says how we succeed in this immediate life. Some people, they don't believe their previous lives, and sometimes some people don't believe their next lives. However, everyone likes to succeed in this immediate life. When we go to succeed this immediate life, Buddha says we have to follow 4 things. They are Uttana Sampada, the accomplishment of energy; Arakka Sampada, the accomplishment of protection; Kalyanvikata, associating with the good friends; and Samadhivikata, balanced livelihood. These 4 things are very important to succeed in this immediate life. And also it says how we succeed our next life. If someone believes their next life, Buddha has explained the qualities that we have to practice to develop our next life. For that, Buddha proclaimed 4 qualities: Saddha Sampada, Sila Sampada, Chaga Sampada, and Panya Sampada. The accomplishment of confidence in what the Buddha taught, the accomplishment of virtue, the accomplishment of generosity, and also the accomplishment of wisdom. This is the gradual path. That is very important. And also, when we see Buddha's message, on the other side, Buddha explained the very first explanation of karmic law. When we refer some discourses such as Mahachattarisaka Sutta, there Sammaditthi or right understanding is explained. Sammaditthi means right understanding of Panya. Venerable Sangha, I explained the Sammaditthi into 2 ways. One of them is Sasava Punya Bahagya Upadivipakka. The very first one is understanding the karmic law. The second one is Arya Anasava Lokuttara Madhanga, the direct path for the liberation. In the first level, when Buddha appeared in this world, there were some people who believed the karmic law. Not only that, there were some ascetic people, when Buddha appeared in this world, they had developed their mind and they had received some even psychic energy, such as Dibbachaku, Dibbasota, so on. Therefore, they had realized the karmic law and they had seen the next life and previous lives too. There, we can see another explanation in Buddha's message that Attibhikkhave kammang akanna sukhang akanna sukha vipakang kammakaya sangatati. Buddha explained very special way that how we overcome our karmic law. When Buddha appeared in this world, no one realized this step. In first level, Buddha pointed out the way how we achieve a blissful life, and also Buddha explained how we overcome the samsaric circle. Even we develop the meritorious deeds or punyavi sankhara or aninjavi sankhara, the infinite verbal mental formations, we are still in the samsaric circle because it starts with ignorance. Avidya paccaya sankhara, sankhara paccaya vijnana, so on. With the arising of ignorance, mental formations arise. With the arising of mental formations, consciousness that consists with ignorance arises. This is the nature of the samsaric circle. In this situation, Buddha directly explained the way how we overcome the samsaric circle completely. For that, we have to overcome ignorance. Ignorance or delusion is the worst defilement that causes us to go around this samsaric circle. Before that, we have to develop our mind in the mundane level by doing 3 meritorious deeds with the understanding of the karmic law. What is the karmic law? That means whatever we do with intention, physically, verbally, or mentally, we will have the same results. If our mind is polluted with negative thoughts, suffering follows us because of impure mind. And also, if we do something with the pure mind, happiness follows us because of pure mind. This is the nature of the karmic law. With this understanding, we always try to do the meritorious deeds. Dhanamyam punyakiriyavatto, silamayam punyakiriyavatto, bhavanamyam punyakiriyavatto. Generosity, virtue, and meditation. In another way, dhanancha samakaryancha metta kirtancha bhave. Generosity, 5 precepts, and metta bhavana. This is the path for a blissful life. As the result of practicing these 3 things, generosity, virtue of 5 precepts, and metta bhavana, loving kindness meditation, we always keep our mind pure and calm. As a result of this path, we can develop our happiness. Sukho punya sauchayo. Sukha means happiness. Meritorious deeds synonym happiness. Not only that, we are confident in that we never fall into hell. That is a great assurance that we can gain through practicing the 3 meritorious deeds. Having this insurance or assurance in our life that we never fall into a hell. We come to the next level with the understanding of the Samadhi or right understanding. Here, Buddha explained a very special thing. What's that? How suffering arises and how suffering ceases. Buddha says very clearly, in the past and the present, I explain only two things to the world, which are suffering and the cessation of suffering. This is the main advice of the Buddha. Buddha explained how suffering arises and how suffering ceases. How suffering arises. When we see something, when we hear something, when we smell something, if we are ignorant, our mind is fixed in the outside material world, that we think that when we see something and when we understand something, there is a material world outside. Actually, there is a material world which consists with the four fundamental elements. However, when we understand it, when we recognize it, the very first experience which consists with the material world has already ceased. That is why Buddha says there is a very special explanation given by the Blessed One. Na panchali vinyanehi kinchi dhammam pativijanati anyatra abhinipatamatta. We are unable to recognize anything through higher consciousnesses, just contact. We can contact something and also we can catch the color, sound, smell, the primary understanding. However, when we understand it, the form has already ceased. We recognize everything through our mind consciousness. Sabbe Dhamma Mano Vijnana Dhatuya Vinaya. Everything should be understood by mind consciousness. When we understand something through mind consciousness, the very first experience or the first five aggregates have already ceased. We recognize everything through mind consciousness, which are Manancha, Paticha, Dhammecha, Upajjati, Manovinyana. Whenever we are suffering, it means we have no this understanding. Because of that, we always depend on the outside world. Whenever we depend on outside world, it means we are controlled by the outside world and also we have suffering. Whenever we are mindful and wise, we are searching inside. We are reflecting on inside. And also at the moment, our mind is not fixed in the outside world. And we are reflecting on the reality, or we are wise and mindful. It means we are not controlled by the outside world. This is the vision. With this vision, we practice three disciplines: Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Virtue, tranquil meditation, and wisdom. These three things should be followed on the path of liberation. And also, whenever we understand the absolute truth or the second step of the Samadhi, pure right understanding, we should be very careful that there are three things we can see in the same way. They are, in one side we understand Paticca dependent origination, How suffering arises, how suffering ceases. Avidya paccaya sankhara, sankhara paccaya vijnanam. That is the way how suffering arises. The second truth of the Four Noble Truths, Samudaya Satya. And also we understand avidyayatve vasyas viraga nirodha sankhara nirodho. With the complete cessation of ignorance, mental formations cease. As the result of this path, we are able to overcome the samsaric circle. Bhava nirodha, jati nirodho, jati nirodha, jara marana soka parideva dukkha domana supayasa nirujjanti. With the complete cessation of rebirth, all the sufferings gradually cease. This is the third noble truth, which is Nirodha Satya. When we understand the Paticcasamuppada or the dependent origination, we understand the Four Noble Truths. When we understand the Four Noble Truths, we understand the five aggregates or Panchupadanaskandha. When we contact something in the Vipaka level or result level, we experience the five aggregates. And also, when we understand it, we come to the Panchupadanaskandha, the clinging of five aggregates. In this situation, in one side we understand the Paticcasamuppada, on the other side we understand the Four Noble Truths, at the same time we understand the five aggregates and also the clinging to the five aggregates. And this is the place where we are confident in. With the confidence in what the Supreme Buddha realized, Saddhati Tathagatassa Bodhing, we are confident in what the Buddha realized. Buddha realized and proclaimed to the world how suffering arises, how suffering ceases. With this understanding, we find the path. This is the vision, then immediately mission. What is the mission? Mission with details, the Noble Eightfold Path. We can summarize it into three disciplines for Sila Samadhi Panya. In another way, Buddha says Samatoja Vipassanacha, or tranquility meditation and insight meditation. In very, very short, Buddha says there is only one thing for the liberation, which is practicing fourfold mindfulness. Ekayana Vikve Maggo Sattana Visuddhiya. Yadidachatara Satipatthana. Entire Buddhism is, in one side, we have to practice samatha or concentration meditation or metta bhavana. On the other side, we have to practice mindfulness. Metta bhavana and mindfulness. The more we practice these techniques, the more we purify our mind from negative thoughts. The more we purify our mind from negative thoughts, the more we develop our spiritual happiness, which is the main purpose of everyone who was born in this world. On this path, our speech is very important. Our speech decides the success of our spiritual life. According to Meghiya Sutta, Buddha says we should maintain our speech in the correct way. Dasakata. Appicha kata, santutti kata, aviveka kata, asansatta kata, viriyarambha kata, sila kata, samadhi kata, panya kata, vimukti kata, vimukti jnana darsana kata. This speech is very important. That is why we should follow the Samma Vacha, right speech. When we have correct vision, then we follow the right intention and also immediately we come to the right speech. We maintain our speech in the correct way, and also right action, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajeva, right livelihood, Samma Vayama, right effort, Samma Sati, right mindfulness, and Samma Samadhi, right concentration. When we follow the gradual path in the level of the karmic law, we always pay our attention to the samsaric circle and we focus on a blissful life hereafter. And also, when we practice the ultimate truth, we focus on getting rid of suffering in this immediate life. Then we can see the results or benefits of the Dhamma. We can see the qualities of the Dhamma. Swakahato Bhagavata Dhammo. Dhamma is well expounded by the Blessed One. Visible results, immediately effective, falling to come and see, leading onwards, and to be personally realized by the wise. These are the qualities of the Dhamma here. It is very important to understand Sanditiko, Akaliko. When we practice Dhamma, we can see the results in this immediate life. When we purify our mind, our negative thoughts go away, and also our spiritual happiness day by day develops. Immediately effective, we can see the results immediately. How do we see the results? Our Trishna Drushtiman, or craving, self-view, and conceit gradually reduce. In another way, Lobha, Dosa, Moha, craving, anger, and ignorance gradually reduce, decrease. This is the result of our spiritual path, and also we can see that our spiritual happiness day by day develops. As the result of this path, we always associate with the knowledge and liberation, Vidya Vimukti. Knowledge and liberation. No matter whatever we do everything focusing on developing knowledge and liberation. That is why Buddha says there are 5 Vimuttayatana, or the places or avenues of liberation. Dhamma Savana, listening to Dhamma is a place where we liberate from suffering. Preaching Dhamma also is a place where we liberate from suffering. Dhamma Sakacha, Dhamma discussion also a place where we liberate from suffering. And Dharma Sajjayana, or chanting the Dhamma. You can see in this book, devotions for meditation. Even chanting is a place where we liberate from the suffering. And also finally, Bhavana is a place where we liberate from suffering or ignorance. And we conduct everything focusing on liberate from suffering. It means day by day we go forward on the path of liberation. We can see in one side we develop Metta Bhavana, and also on the other side we practice mindfulness. In very short, we meet a very special meditation technique given by the Blessed One, which is Anapanasati. When we practice Anapanasati Bhavana, all the wholesome mental formations gradually develop. That is why Buddha says, when one develops, other four things gradually develop. When four things develop, other seven things gradually develop. When those seven things gradually develop, other two things we can achieve. What is the one thing? Which is anapanasati or mindful breathing. When we practice mindful breathing with the correct vision or sutamenyana, the wisdom of hearing, fourfold mindfulnesses gradually develop. According to Anapanasati Sutta or Ananda Sutta, would explain this message. When fourfold mindfulnesses develop, other seven things gradually develop. What they are? Seven enlightenment factors, Sattva-bodhanga. Sati, Dhamma-vicaya, Viriya, Piti, Passaddhi, Samadhi, Upekkha. As the result of developing these seven enlightenment factors, we are able to achieve vidya, vimukti, knowledge, and liberation. But the very important thing, no matter whatever we do everything Viveka-nisitam, Viraga-nisitam, Nirodha-nisitam, Vassagotharinam. It means we do everything in the name of Dhamma with the understanding of the right vision, focusing on the liberation on Nibbana. When we practice Sila or virtue, we do it focusing on liberation. When we practice Metta Bhavana or any other concentration meditation technique, we do with this understanding focusing on final destination, which is Nibbana or liberation. When we practice insight meditation, we do it focusing on the final destination, which is liberation or emancipation or enlightenment. As the result of this practice, we can get the highest benefits of the Dhamma. Then we understand that we are the so fortunate people in this world. In this very real life, we have a chance to listen to what the Buddha taught, and we can understand it by birth. We are so wise. When someone explains this message, we can understand what they say. We can understand how suffering arises and how suffering ceases. When we are ignorant, our mind is fixed in the outside world, which is already ceased. Then we depend on outside. It means outside world can control us. We are controlled by the outside world. When we are wise and mindful, as soon as we experience something through our higher consciousnesses, higher senses, we immediately look at inside. What happens to my mind at that moment? That is the Chittanupassana, the contemplation of consciousness. When mind is lustful or greedy, we immediately understand now my mind has greed or lust at that moment. Saragang va chittan, saragang chittan pajanati. And when mind is not lustful or no greedy, we immediately understand that now my mind has no lust or greed. And finally we understand Vimuttam va chittam, vimuttam chittam pajanati. When mind is liberated from the world, we understand Now I have liberated from the world. Avimuttang va chittang avimuttang chittang pajanati. When mind is not liberated from the outside world, we understand that thing also, that now my mind has no liberated from the outside world. Chittanupassana, the contemplation of consciousness. We have completely controlled our mind through practicing mindfulness, which is the main doctrine in Buddhism. We should make mindfulness a friend in our life. Whenever we are mindful, no one can disturb our peace of mind. Whenever we are unmindful, anyone can control us. That is the says mindfulness is the real refuge. When we are mindful, we are near the field of the Buddha. We are in the field of the Buddha. Whenever we are not mindful, we are in the field of the Mara, devil. And finally, on this path, we have to practice mindfulness, but it should be started with the vision. Vision is first, Samma Ditti Purejavam, then mission. Both are very important. In one side, vision, on the other side, mission. This is the message of the Buddha in short. Buddha says, in the past and also in the present, I explain only suffering and the cessation of suffering. Even though we discuss Buddha's message many years, we also have to explain these two things, which is suffering or the arising of the world and the cessation of suffering or the cessation of the world. Okay, dear Venerable says, Bhantes, this is the Buddha's message in short. Buddhism in short. In next few days, little by little, we can explain these things with details as we permit. And now we have the time to conclude this session. Today I explained the Buddha's message in short. It has a gradual path from the beginning to end, from dana or generosity to finally mindfulness. First, we make strong our samsaric journey not to fall into a hell. Then finally, day by day, we are following the spiritual path, the deliverance path. Okay, by the power of listening to this Dhamma, may you be well, happy and peaceful. May your path make clear, and may we have the chance to practice this message maximally in this real life. And finally, may all of us attain the supreme bliss of liberation, Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dukkhaṃ pantāca nirdukkhaṃ, bhayaṃ pantāca nirbhayam, sokam pantāca nissokam, untu sabbe pipānino. May all beings be well, happy and peaceful. Sadhu.